Well, so the details are pretty boring. Visa and immigration stuff, that did not work out in my favor, but I was picking up some momentum in the US. Things were going very well. Again, PWG evolved, CZW. I was starting to make my name, which was very lucky in the timing in which things happened. I was starting to make my name, and then of course I found out I wouldn't be able to enter the US for 5 years, which is of course a big deal because you assume that things are gonna go a certain way for your wrestling career, PWG, and then a lot of people with whom I wrestled at PWG during, in 2015-16 ended up going to NXT shortly thereafter, or Impact back then. And that's sort of what I was hoping would happen with myself as well. And then once that's not going to happen, the trajectory that you had made for yourself is not going to work out at all. I mean, you have two options basically. I can just quit, I can stop, I can just take the L and move on to something else with my career and just, let pro wrestling go, or I can figure out another way to make to become a successful pro wrestler outside of the United States, outside of the place where everyone wants to be, which of course forced me to look at, Europe. Shortly after I was banned, I did some shows in Canada, and then Rev Pro, I think, if you're familiar with them, they're based out of London in the UK. They're one of the best promotions in England. They're closely affiliated with New Japan. They were one of the first ones to bring me in for like an extended tour, as well as WXW in Germany soon after. And then I got to wrestle for DDT through a connection that I had made at an Evolve show in the US. And DDT was really my home for from 2016 to 2020, right up until the pandemic. And I would have been back there if it wasn't for the pandemic making things so difficult. But yeah, DDT became my home, and I was able to, earn a living and grow as a pro wrestler outside of the US. And my mission was really to keep as much momentum as I could going up until the end of my 5-year inadmissibility, which is, when I could finally make some moves with some of the world's biggest companies, and eventually landing me an Impact contract, which I'm thrilled about. Also, this was several years ago. If it happened now, it would be completely different. I feel like it's a lot easier to make a living as an independent wrestler now, even without a company, given all the options you have for content creation and, being your own brand, which I think is super important, even for people who are under contract. But that was really, you didn't have the chugs in 2016. So I couldn't just look at that and go, oh, maybe I could do that. But no, yeah, definitely. It was starting a little bit. You had the Cruiserweight Classic, I think, was a big moment for that. And when you had guys like Zack Sabre Jr., who was like one of the first guys when it was still a big deal to turn down a WWE contract to go to New Japan, and like seeing things like that were happening more and more, sort of was pretty inspiring for me, honestly, to be in that position and see, okay, maybe this is not the end all be all. There are other options. There are people who are pursuing different tracks, and it's working out extremely well for them. So maybe I could do that as well, which I mean, kind of did. It's like, it's a big what if, and it's super hard to tell. On one hand, like, yeah, I'm absolutely blessed and cannot complain about the way things are now. I'm so happy with the path my career's gone. I've had experiences wrestling, all around the world that I might not have had otherwise. On the other hand, what if I did go to the Cruiserweight Classic? Things went super well, got hired, spent 5 years in WWE, decided to quit with 1 million Twitter followers, and just had the option to do whatever I had. That would be pretty neat as well. However, I could have also, not gotten bad, done a PWG show the next month and broke my neck. And that's another possible scenario. So, I mean, that's why I struggle with hypotheticals. It could be yes, I'm happy with the way things are. Definitely could be a blessing in disguise. That is absolutely possible. However, could also the other way could also be much better.